Hi, I'm Dustin Saldarriaga, an immigration lawyer with Scott Legal PC in New York City. In this video, I'll be talking about a topic that takes many foreign visitors to the US by surprise: taxes. Believe it or not, you don't need to be a US citizen for the US to tax your worldwide income. In fact, you don't even need to be a permanent resident or have a green card in the United States. In fact, all you need to do to give the United States the ability to tax your worldwide income is spend a certain amount of time inside the US. In this video, we'll give a broad overview of how foreign visitors to the US are taxed. In subsequent videos, we'll take a closer look at a couple of these topics, including how the government decides whether a foreign visitor is either a resident or a non-resident alien for tax purposes, and how the US government calculates the tax owed by a non-resident alien. If you want to stay updated on when these and other videos about visa options and travel to the US are available, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Before we get started, it's important to emphasize that the information in this video is not legal advice. In fact, we strongly recommend that you work with a qualified tax professional who can guide you through the specifics of your circumstances. Tax law, like immigration law, is complicated, and a qualified professional can be an essential resource. So let's get back to that important question. How can the US government tax someone on their worldwide income without that person having US citizenship or even a green card? Let's take a look. The Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, is the US government agency that's responsible for collecting taxes in the United States. The IRS characterizes those who spend time inside the US but who are not US citizens as either non-resident aliens or resident aliens. Remember that the IRS uses these as tax terms, not as immigration terms. In other words, a person the IRS has characterized as a resident alien could have nothing to do with whether that person is a permanent resident of the United States for immigration purposes. The tax consequences of being characterized as a resident alien instead of as a non-resident alien can be huge. While non-resident aliens are usually only taxed on income they receive from sources within the United States or from trade or business conducted in the United States, resident aliens are taxed the same way that US citizens are taxed. This means they're taxed on any income they earn anywhere in the world, according to the graduated tax rates that apply to US citizens. The IRS applies two tests to decide whether a foreign national is a non-resident alien or a resident alien for tax purposes. First, the IRS can apply the green card test. The green card test asks whether the foreign national is a lawful permanent resident of the United States, meaning, generally, do they have a green card? If they are a lawful permanent resident of the United States at any point during the tax year, they are a resident alien for tax purposes. But let's say they don't have a green card. Then the IRS can apply the second test, called the substantial presence test. The substantial presence test focuses on how much time the foreign national is physically present in the United States over a 3-year period, starting with the present tax year. So how much time can you spend in the US before being taxed as a resident alien? Generally speaking, to avoid being characterized as a resident alien under the substantial presence test, you'd want to limit the time spent in the US each year to under 120 days. Let's take a look at the formula used by the IRS to understand why. To be taxed as a resident alien under the substantial presence test, the foreign national must have been physically present in the US on at least 31 days during the tax year and 183 days during the 3-year period in which the tax year is the most recent year. Now, fortunately, days that you were present in the 2 years before the tax year are not counted in full. Instead, the IRS counts 1/3 of the days the foreign national was physically present in the US in the year immediately before the tax year, and it counts 1/6 of the days that the foreign national was physically present in the US in the year 2 years before the tax year. To understand this formula, it's helpful to look at an example. George, who's not a US citizen or a permanent resident, is figuring out whether he's a resident alien for the 2021 tax year. He was physically present in the United States 120 days in 2021, 120 days in 2020, and 120 days in 2019. To determine whether George meets the substantial presence test, he would add all of the days he was present in 2021, 120 days, to 1/3 of the days he was present in 2020. 1/3 of 120 days is 40 days. He'd then add that number to 1/6 of the days he was present in 2019. 1/6 of 120 days is 20 days. The sum of 120, 40, and 20 is 180 days. Remember that a foreign national will be taxed as a resident alien under the substantial presence test if they are physically present in the U.S. on at least 31 days during the tax year, which George was, and 183 days during the 3-year period in which the tax year is the most recent year. Since George has only been physically present 180 days, which is less than the 183-day limit, George would not be considered to be a resident alien under the substantial presence test. By limiting his visits to 120 days each year, George narrowly missed the 183-day limit. By spending even a little more time in the U.S., he would have become a resident alien for tax purposes. For this reason, it can be helpful for foreign nationals to keep the 120-day limit in mind. By limiting their physical presence in the U.S. each year to 120 days, foreign nationals can generally avoid characterization as a resident alien under the substantial presence test. So what are the tax consequences if a foreign national is characterized as a resident alien instead of as a non-resident alien for U.S. tax purposes? Let's take a look at George from our example. Since George did not meet the substantial presence test or the green card test, remember, he's not a permanent resident of the U.S. and he was not physically present in the U.S. long enough to meet the substantial presence test, he is a non-resident alien for tax purposes. Non-resident aliens are generally taxed by the IRS only on income they receive from sources within the United States or from trade or business conducted in the United States. However, if George had been in the U.S. long enough to trigger the substantial presence test, or if he were a permanent resident at any point during the tax year, he would be a resident alien for tax purposes. As a resident alien, he would be taxed in the same way that a U.S. citizen is taxed. Specifically, his worldwide income would be taxed according to the same graduated tax rates that apply to U.S. citizens. Worldwide income is what the name suggests and includes salary, wages, interest, dividends, income from property sales, rental income, or any other income that George received anywhere in the world. Now, resident aliens are usually able to claim a tax credit, up to certain limits, for income tax paid to a foreign country on income from a foreign source. Also, although resident aliens generally don't benefit from tax treaties, there are sometimes exceptions that would provide certain benefits to those characterized as resident aliens by the IRS. As a result, it can be worthwhile to check whether your home country has a tax treaty with the United States. We'll include links to the tax treaties below. Finally, what about students? Did enrolling in business school just subject my worldwide income to taxation by the IRS? Fortunately, certain categories of foreign nationals are considered exempt for purposes of counting days toward the substantial presence test. These include those who are present in the U.S. on behalf of a foreign government, teachers or trainees in the U.S. on a J or a Q visa, professional athletes who are temporarily in the U.S. to compete in a charitable sport event, and students who are in the U.S. on an F, J, M, or Q visa. We hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please go ahead and click the like and subscribe buttons below to stay updated on future videos about visa options and travel to the US. Thank you for watching.